Hey everybody, welcome to part 2 of the Ibanez Mikro couple of videos that I'm making before I attempt to donate it to charity. Hopefully they'll accept my offer. It feels a bit weird because coronavirus is still rampant if you're watching this in the future, and I just hope that they accept and disinfect it before they start to use it. Because it is a great little guitar that I don't need it, so I'm going to try and give it away. That's the first thing I'm going to do. Secondly, I don't really like unboxing videos, so that's why we've skipped that. But I'm going to tell you a couple of the features of this guitar, or I'm going to just look at it and we're going to talk about it. But it's going to be a really one-sided conversation because you're not the audience yet. To start with, this is a full-size headstock, so I feel like it kind of looks a little bit weird with the guitar, but it's really good in terms of having the full-size headstock because it means that this is going to tune properly. I did read what it was. I think it's meant to be 22-inch scale. It's a very short scale, but I'm pretty sure it's 22-inch because it does feel shorter than my Duosonic, which is 24. I think it's 24. I hope it's 24 now that I've said that. But the tuners are exactly the same quality as when I was at school learning guitar. Really good quality for the price point. I actually really love Ibanez. My second guitar, which I consider my first real electric guitar, just blew everything out of the water in the price range at the time. I think I paid about $450 for a guitar when I was in about grade 9 or 10, I can't remember. So that is, drum roll, about 1994 or 1995. So that's embarrassing. But I think guitar quality, just with the machines and the ability to computerize and just have that standardization in the factory, has made guitars not only better quality than back then, but also cheaper to manufacture because there's less physical labor. A lot of it is done by the machines. Some people hate it. I like it. I like Ibanez, I like cheap guitars, and I am a big fan of progress. So these do not need to be replaced. If you get one of these and you replace these, I think you should actually be checking here and here first before you replace any tuners due to tuning issues. It's probably going to be those things. First, the neck, like this has a little bit of shop damage as well. The neck is really, really nice. Ibanez does a really good neck. It's really thin that way, so it's really thin at the nut. And it's a really shallow C, so it's not like your chunky Fender Cs. But for small hands, for kids, that's going to be so good. And I'm guessing this hasn't been set up or plaqued or anything before it was shipped to me, but that's really smooth. There's a couple of rough ones about there. Well, there's a chunk out of the fretboard actually that makes it a little bit sharp, but frets, no dramas with frets. The nut, it's kind of like tusk or something. And I feel like it's well cut because there's no plinking. No plinking, no catching, so that's been set up pretty well. I don't know how much these retail, I didn't look it up. The bridge is stamped with Ibanez, which is a really nice touch on a really cheap guitar. And weirdly, that is just wound up so high. But I think because it's such a short scale, you can get away with it being that high because that just doesn't feel like you're even doing anything. Maybe these really tiny guitars should be my thing, but when it comes to doing a bar chord up here, that's what we'll be demoing in a minute. But yeah, like, it feels weird that my hands are too big for that fretboard. Anyway, it's got 22 frets as well. So 22 frets is pretty insane. That one there, I don't even know how you're ever gonna use those, but I guess maybe they're going a little bit of looks as well and just trying to be like, we're not going to change the shape of the guitar or how the neck looks, because realistically, with how small those frets were, you could have probably put about 19 frets on there and it would look really cool. So what else? This is sparkly. It's, I guess that's what I think it might be like Black Knight or something. So it actually looks like a galaxy, which is sick. And you've got your normal, you've got a 5-way toggle switch, and in 2 and 4 it splits the humbuckers into single coils, which you may or may not like. I was playing with it the other night, and on the single coils it seemed really anemic, but playing it now through pedals instead, so I've added the compression, that actually helps it a lot. I don't know how that just managed to pick up any sound at all, but there you go. So if you do have a guitar like this where it splits the coils and you've got a volume drop, you really just need to get a compressor, because that fixes it straight away. I don't know why people complain about volume drop. Just buy a compressor. You can get them for about $100 for a good one and for about $50 for a shitty one. So Ibanez likes to do just one volume, one tone. Got one volume, one tone there. And this is pretty much the RG style with that really, really thin horn, which I really loved. That's why I bought the Ibanez to start with. This is even more slim than I think I remember the RGs being, but I haven't really looked at an RG, I want to say since about 1998. On the back we're trying to emulate, I have a Ibanez AZ over there, so we're trying to emulate this really cool neck that Ibanez have started doing without the plate on the back. It does make it a lot more comfortable to play, although it's going to be negligible on this because the frets are really hard to access. But, you know, they're still trying to make it look like their prestige line, which is sick. I love that. I really, really love that. I don't love the vintage style strap buttons. From what I remember back in the day when I was looking at these kind of guitars, they did always have the mushroom style strap buttons instead, which I think are better. These ones, once your strap starts to wear a little bit, your strap just falls off them. The mushroom ones just obviously have a greater radius, diameter, radius, circumference, all of those things to do with circles, and they don't have kind of like that angle. It's just straight on the button. Whatevs. Spending too long talking about strap buttons. But yeah, that is what the guitar first impressions are for me. I just find that action so super weird. The neck pickup is basically in line with the wood, maybe 1/4 millimeter down from the fret, the top of the fretboard. So I'm going to start a new take so that my camera doesn't time out, because it does that when it gets to long takes. That's my first impressions of how the guitar looks and feels and all of that kind of boring shit that I normally don't watch videos for, but you might like it. No judgment. And I will demo some sounds with it, mostly through pedals, but I will also do a clean sound as well, I think. Here's my clean tone. I just realised that I didn't mention the inlays, which I think is amazing for this kind of level of budgetness. Such good English right now! So normally a budget guitar, as you know, it just has the plastic dots. These are still plastic, acrylic, but they've taken the time, again, to replicate the RG with all of these fine details as well. And they don't even do that with Squier, so I think that's a big tick for Ibanez for me, is the fact that they just put in such attention to detail with their really budget lines. That was originally why I bought an Ibanez back in the day because the quality of that Ibanez was above and beyond anything else, as I said, in the price range. And I think at the time Squiers were slightly dearer, and my Ibanez, which is long since out of production, it is an RX240. Look them up and try and buy one if you can in the translucent green. That is a great guitar. I will pause now and we will do some sound demos. No, actually, do you know what? I'm going to make this 3 parts. You can come back for the sound demo in my next video, and I will see you then.